debate on clauses 19 to 96 and schedules 1 to 4. The question is that part 2 stand part. The Honourable Damien O'Connor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And part 2 of the bill refers to risk-based measures, and I guess in summary it is appropriate standards for appropriate risk, volume, type of food, where the foods are sold, and what kind of system I guess the company, in the most part, can afford to run. And I have to say that these things have been kicked around for some time by select committees, by the Minister, and I think we've got the balance about right. But what I am concerned about is the Minister's statement earlier on about the savings that this bill would create for the industry. And the government has been very good at working on costs, but not on value. And this is a piece of legislation that affects arguably the single biggest part of our income generation across the economy, both at the primary level in terms of animal production and food, but also in the secondary and tertiary, that's manufacturing and then the sale at retail. So a very important piece of legislation. The cost savings may be there. The Minister claims are around $40 million. In my view, they're a lesser part of our consideration than the value that we may assist create for the food industry and for the primary sector. So I'd like to think that we are assisting in the establishment of a system of integrity, a robust system of integrity that allows anyone producing primary produce or food or whatever in this country to get out there and sell with confidence that we've, at every part of the supply chain, we've avoided any possible contamination, we've not allowed an infiltration by anyone or anything, and we've got food that is true to label, in spite of us not having country of origin labelling, that what is said on the pack will indeed be what the consumer buys and the person eats and consumes, and very, very important. So the risk-based measures, the systems put in place to work through every part of possible systems breakdown or contamination, really, really important. There has been concerns, of course, of over-regulation, and the committee has moved to, on a couple of occasions, with the assistance of the Minister, who's clarified a few things, hopefully not over-regulate. And perhaps that's where the Minister's pointing to the possible savings. The reality is most of the laws that we pass in this House are for people who are potentially going to break them, not for the vast majority of people who understand the wisdom of running a system that delivers safe food. There will always be people who want to cut corners. There will be always people who want to mislabel or put in horse meat when beef is what it's labelled as. There are numerous examples across the world of inappropriate labelling, of effectively fraudulent operations. Mr. Speaker, to the point where in the UK now there's a major, and in EU as well, major inquiries around the counterfeiting of food, where gangs are moving from drugs to food. So let's not underestimate the risks that we're talking about here. And while the Minister may be focused on reducing costs, we in the opposition are more focused on having a robust piece of legislation that actually prevents this kind of counterfeiting and fraudulent behaviour. And so it is one of the approach that we've taken to this. We've not looked at each and every clause through this part 2 of the bill and said, well, this is going to save a bit for people here and there. And in fact, at the same time we're doing this, in the meat industry, for example, the Minister's allowing the dumbing down and the deregulation of meat inspection. So on the one hand, we are hopefully moving to a comprehensive piece of legislation that has appropriate risk-based measures in it, then on the other hand, the government's been moving in the wrong direction. While not Mr. Chairman,
Damien O'Connor.
While not a specific part of this, you know, what happens in the slaughterhouse, what happens at every part of food manufacturer, will have to be identified in the food control plans that are currently covered in this area. Mr. Chairman, sorry, there is also, of course, in part 2 here, there are the development, how we develop the food control plans, as I said, how we oversee them, how we register them, what are national programs, and how we deal with, I guess, the not the importers, that's the next one, the monitoring, of course, which is really, really important. Can I go back to the point I raised in relation to part 1, that an independent food safety authority that this government got rid of is going to be an essential component to any robust system as we move forward. And just as the Chinese were confused when it came to the botulism debacle as to who they should speak to, and did we have a food safety authority, in fact, going back to the meat issue, they demanded certification from the Food Safety Authority, the old agency, because they didn't trust the Ministry of Primary Industries. The point being that the implementation, the oversight and the enforcement of all these risk-based measures should occur and should be carried out under the control of an independent food safety authority. And we in government will reinstate that independent agency, because we believe, and there are numerous examples now of the Ministry of Primary Industries not having the appropriate focus or expertise. With all due respect to the officials, they don't have the independence to focus solely on food safety. It is compromised by considerations of trade, of biosecurity in some instances, and other areas of responsibility across MPI. If we are to have the risk-based measures upheld, adjusted where necessary, and implemented, we need a separate food safety authority, Mr. Speaker. So without getting into the details, the Minister might want to go through the details. There's quite a lot in here. I don't think anyone in the gallery would want me to read through these things. But in principle, we believe it is appropriate to have risk-based measures at the level needed to ensure food safety, but not at a level that undermines the ability for food producers to innovate, to create, to get out and deliver new products to the marketplace. So we've got to get the right balance. In the Select Committee, we hope we have, but without the Independent Food Safety Authority, we can't guarantee that all our good work here is going to be carried through and deliver an absolute assurance of food safety for our consumers. So something that we have to continue to work on, Mr. Chairman.
I call Stephen Browning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.